All right, good afternoon, or evening, depending on what time it is you're watching this. I want to talk about the design process for a little bit here, how we go about creating what we create. If you think about what design really is, it's about solving problems, creating something by intention, not accidentally. Uh, we design a building, we design a strategy, we design a game plan. Um, these things don't happen just because. So when we're talking about whether it's designing a piece of software or creating a poster, it starts off with defining what it is we hope to accomplish. The better we can define what our objectives are, the more likely we are to get what we want. So we start off in defining what we're creating, any design issue, with research. You know, the more we know, the better we can define what we're looking for. We do a lot of research, we do a lot of questioning. Depending upon our budget, we may hire entire research teams. We may interview not just the decision maker, but other employees of the company, potential customers of the company, ideally customers of the competitors, suppliers. Um, there is no limit other than time and money as to how much research you should do and where all you should go to question. Um, and the more questions you ask, obviously, the more questions you have and the better answers you get. But ultimately, with design, comes down to what problem are we solving? Who's the audience? What's the message? What action do we want? If we cannot define these things, we don't know what we're doing. And so we have to spend a lot of time really doing that. Now, a lot of times, part of our problem is, as designers, is helping a client start to answer those questions. I want a website, and I can't tell you how often, especially when I was managing the web firm, people would say, "I want a website," and I'd say, "Why?" And if they couldn't answer that, then they weren't ready for a website, because I could give them a website, but was it going to accomplish anything? Do we want it to, increase how people feel about us? Do we want to provide customer service? Do we want it to sell goods? What exactly are we supporting? What are we hoping to accomplish? Who are we speaking to? Oh, I'm speaking to everybody. Yeah, have you ever seen those designs that are geared towards everybody? They're like really meaningless to most of us because they've watered down the message so much in social media marketing and marketing and self-promotion. Our courses in December and January, we talk about designing for personas. What do we know about the person that we're actually designing for? So instead of thinking of broad demographic terms, think about specific people. If I designed for 60-year-old middle-class men, that's a nice audience. If I designed something that spoke to me, it would probably be more powerful. And by default, it would reach 60-year-old middle-class men, right? And so the more that we can identify with the needs of our audience, the desires of our audience, and the more specific we can be with our audience, the better we can start to answer the question as to who's the message, or who's the audience, what is the message that we are trying to say to the audience, what action do we want them to take. And so these are all questions. It's often said that if you are having trouble with a design, if you don't have a good design, chances are you haven't done enough research. All good design begins with good research, and if it's not coming together, then go do more research. We move from design over to design. Define design. Now don't jump right into your final product. You're not there yet. The design process, as we're defining the design process, has lots of steps along the way. One of the important things to do is we start off brainstorming. We take all of our research. We've done as good a job as we can of really narrowing in on exactly who's the audience, what's the message, what's the action we want taken. Now we start designing. So a lot of that starts with brainstorming, and there's whole different books on brainstorming. It could be in a situation where the whole class is tossing out ideas, and we have resolved not to move forward till we come up with at least 3 pages worth of ideas. There are some great creativity exercises based on brainstorming. If you haven't watched the creativity boot camp that I put on the Blackboard, go watch it. It will certainly change your views and your approaches to brainstorming. A lot of times I'll just sit there and do word associations, especially if it's like coming up with a domain name for a client. You know, what are all the different names I can come up with, first using the client's names and initials or products, and then related terms. And after I've listed all those, I just keep going. I'm not going to stop till I have 100 different words to work with. Then I'm going to look at all those words and say, oh, this goes with that, maybe, and maybe this goes with that, and start putting them together. And then checking registrations to see if any of those combinations are actually available for a website name. And so I brainstorm by myself a lot, especially when it comes to things like that. We brainstorm and we thumbnail, and then we create roughs and comps. Thumbnails. All we're looking for in thumbnails is to get some of our ideas out in a visual form, just like brainstorming. You know, you're just tossing ideas, and there's lots of rules on brainstorming, like no judging, no qualifying. You always play yes, yes, and, yes, and, yes, and. You don't say no's during brainstorming sessions. Same thing with thumbnails. What I'm looking for is to generate a whole bunch of possible ideas. Now, some of those ideas may be great ideas. Most of them will not be. If you go to grad school, you will find that usually you're required to do somewhere in the range of about 300 thumbnails on any project before you get started. We often create little boxes, and then I'm just going to grab a pencil tool here, not the pen tool. Let's pencil tool here and create a new layer, Command-Shift-N. So my thumbnails, quite honestly, are little sketches. You know, I'm thinking about selling vacations in Cancun. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I'm probably going to have a margarita glass. Ooh, that's not a very good one, but no judging. Margarita glass with a lime on it, and I've got probably have a sunrise. Cancun's on the sunrise side, right? And then some text in there, and so that might be one thumbnail. Next, what do you want to do in Cancun? I want to go fishing, so maybe I'll have a big fish. I'm drawing with a mouse, but my sketches, truthfully, aren't a whole lot better. That looks more like an eel. A big fish, and a fisherman over here, and maybe he's on a boat, and maybe some more fishies down here. Catch the big one, Cancun, Mexico. Okay, that's how much time I spend on a thumbnail. One of the composition exercises I do in photography is to have people go out and take a stationary package like I don't know, coffee cup, your car. Let's do your car. I want, imagine going and taking 50 pictures of your car. Well, the first several are pretty easy. Everybody can take them, front on, from the side. Then you start really having to get creative to what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? And that's kind of the thing in the thumbnail process. The easy ones, the ones that jump right out at us, we call low-hanging fruit, and quite honestly, anybody can end up with those. If I say to draw a picture of greed, most of you are going to jump right to something with money. But there's lots of other ways to be greedy, right? Same thing here. We want to work through all the easy stuff first. Just because it's easy doesn't mean it's wrong, but it means that other people are probably going to end up with it too. And so work through all those first, and then what else can I do? How else can I do this? How else can I do this? How else can I do this? I didn't set a number of thumbnails that you should do on your projects. I also know that as students, you will probably say, oh, I can do quicker and easier if I just jump onto the computer. You can't. This is thought work. This is not moving pixels around. What happens when you move pixels around, you kind of fall in love with what you're doing, and I can do this, and I can do this. You're not exploring new ideas. The whole purpose of what we're doing in the thumbnail is exploring new ideas, and the quickest way to do that is with pencil and a piece of paper. Don't spend more than 30 seconds on a thumbnail. 15, 20 seconds is plenty. Chicken scratch is fine if you can kind of look at it and say, yeah, okay, I can visualize what that idea is, and next idea, next idea, next idea, next idea. Again, like I said, quite often in grad school, you will be required to formally submit at least 300 up to 500 thumbnails with every project, showing that your thought process, showing all the different things you thought about. You're not being judged by the quality of your artwork here. Quantities of ideas. Remember, we're going to end up with one design. So if you generate 500 thumbnails, 499 of them are throwaways. But by exploring them and saying, what else can I do? What else can I do? What else can I do? You're going to generate continually more ideas, more thoughts, and come up with more unique solutions to your design problem. Okay? Don't skimp on thumbnails. I know it's tempting to do. I've been known to do it, but the best design happens between your ears, not on the screen. Once we have those thumbnails, let's put them back for a second, we then want to create roughs. So we're going to go through all of our thumbnails, and I'm going to come up with 10 to 15 that show promise. And now I'm going to go in and define those a little bit better. Let's grab an ellipse. Truthfully, that margarita glass is going to be more of an ellipse. And let's grab, I don't know, let's grab a little rectangle, little skinny rectangle. There's my stem. So I'm going to spend a little more time, maybe grab a triangle tool and rotate this around. That shift key to lock it in. Okay, so that's looking a little more like a margarita glass. We can even start thinking of colors. So let's come back and grab another ellipse for the moment. Something greens. Helps if I hit fill. Let me jump to my layers. I'll double click on that. I'll click on that, not double click on it. Click on that, make sure I'm back in the shape tool and change my fill to green. And I've got a lime. I'm not designing the whole thing, but I'm thinking through it and exploring it further. Is there something here worth exploring? Looking the fish thing, yeah, you know what? Let's grab my brush tool. And nope, not worth pursuing. Next. So with roughs, we're looking to add some detail, further explore the idea. Might it work? Might it not work? They're all not going to work. One of the things people will do, they'll fall in love with an idea or design, and they will spend hours trying to make it work instead of saying, you know what, it's just not going to work, move on, come up with another idea, because ideas are tougher than designs. And so if it's not working, move on from it. Go grab another thumbnail and explore it. So again, we're looking, depending on how much time, what the budget is, how much time we've allotted to it. After we've done our thumbnails, then we're doing our roughs, and roughs have more detail, more ideas, and then guess what? We're going to throw away some of those roughs, and we're going to create a comp. A comp is something that's very close to the finished product. We may still be using stock imagery that we haven't purchased yet. We may be, if we have lots of text, we may be using lorem ipsum placeholder text instead of the actual copy that we're going to be using. But we're trying to get with a comp close enough to a finished product that I can say, here you go, Mr. Client. This is what's going to solve your needs, and the client can see it clearly enough to say, yes, you're right, I agree. Here's a whole lot of money. Go and make it happen. That's what I'm trying to get to with my comps. If I'm doing a brand identity package, I may end up with 3 logo ideas, 3 branding ideas, etc., that I take all the way to the comp, even though I've possibly explored hundreds of potential ideas. I've narrowed it down, going back to my who is the audience, what's the message, what action am I trying to get somebody to take, brand identity, how do I want people to relate to your company, what do I want them to think about your company, how do I want them to feel about doing business with your company, those types of things. I want to make sure I'm answering all those by the time I get to the comp and can confidently answer each one of my design decisions. I chose this palette of colors, or these main colors, because I chose these typefaces, because I chose photography or illustration, because I chose people doing these things in my imagery, because I chose these geographic things, because, and they should all relate back up to here as to how those design decisions are answering those questions. I was talking to Tim Cox, the head of design for Publix, and one of the things that he will absolutely do if you ever, not many people straight out of college get a chance to interview with Tim, but usually you have to have 4 or 5 years experience before you get a chance to talk to Tim. But when you talk to Tim, he's going to look at your portfolio and he's going to expect you to explain and defend every design decision that is made. If something cannot be explained, it's decoration, so why is it in the design? And that's his general attitude, and that's the attitude we should have. There should be nothing in our design that is there by accident, or because I like blue, or that was the default font, I didn't really think about what the typeface was. There shouldn't be any of those. Everything is there for a purpose, and when I present my comp to the client, I'm going to explain it to him. Mr. Client, we agreed that this is the message we wanted to send to this audience because we wanted them to buy your product. And we thought that, and so therefore, we chose these colors because they elicit trust, or they elicit passion, or they make people feel healthy, or they, whatever your design, don't. And then we chose geometric shapes, or we chose strong lines, strong bold lines with lots of right angles, or we chose thin detailed flowing lines because we chose to go with people enjoying your type of product, and we chose these types of people because everything that we're doing has a purpose. It's not just because it looks good or it felt good or gee, I always wanted to do that. And that should be part of your presentation when you present your idea to your client on every design. And when we start presenting in class, that's going to be the expectation. This is what I did. This is why I did it. This is how it supports the purpose of my design. Okay? That all should be done in the comp. And as we're presenting to our clients, we're going to also get paid. I'm not going any further than this until I have cash in my pocket. I've got to hire models. I've got to buy fonts. I might have to go purchase software. I may have to fly over to New Zealand to do a little scuba diving in order to get the photographs we need. I don't, based upon my designs, if my client agrees that this is the best idea to answer those questions, then I need money to do it. And as much as I love you and trust you, I'm not going to foot the bill for it. Plus, if you have an investment, you're not going to back out. I'm looking for agreement as I'm presenting my comp, that this is the best possible way to get that message to that audience. So I'm asking for agreement along the way. I'm also going to sign the contract as I get a down payment. I want them to initial the bottom, yes, this is what I want done. I will provide it in digital format to your printer by the 3rd of September. There's lots of freebie contracts online. Sometimes the contract can feel almost like just a letter readdressing. And we agreed I'm going to do this and this and this and this. So as soon as I get your check for $17,942, I'll get started on it, and you'll have the project back within 30 days after the time that the check clears. Thanks so much. It was great talking to you. Give my best to your wife and kids. This is very, very important. I remember when I moved from managing the technical department to the sales department, the web firm, I thought I knew what I was doing because I understood the design process. So I went and met with the client and her staff. They were a very busy women's golf gear store, online, both a physical and online store, but we were doing all their online work. And it was 1999, and they were already doing probably $20,000, $30,000 a month online, which was as much online as they were doing in a brick and mortar store. So I went and met with Andrea, met her husband, talked to them, talked to the employees, talked to customers, got a feel for what her site was already doing, got a feel for her store, did a bunch of thumbnails and roughs, and got agreement. So after 2 days of meeting with Andrea, we agreed on a $10,000 rebuild of her site. She gave us $5,000. We're off and running. I took a vacation, knowing that my tech team would take care of everything, and about the second day vacation, started getting these phone calls. Greg, Andrea says you said this. Greg, Andrea said you should do that. We should do that. Okay, fine. Just keep her happy. I'll be home, till I get home. Well, then Andrea wanted this. No, Greg, you said that. No, we agreed on this. No, this should look that. You said it should look this way. And by the month, this was May, all through June, month of July, we shut down for several weeks to do nothing but try to finish Andrea's site to what she wanted. And no matter what we did, Andrea always wanted something else. The colors are too warm. The model's this. The pictures are that. The text is this. This should be in that place. Even though I had those original thumbnails and we had agreed on what should be in here, we did not have it specified in a contract. Finally, in August, the lawyers got involved, and all the lawyers could say is, Andrea, shut up and give the people their money. Andrea, they did way more than they should have. Shut up and give them their check. But we lost a really good client who also has a big mouth. We lost, even though it was a $10,000 deal, we probably lost another $10,000 paying salaries, purchasing assets, etc., trying to please Andrea. Yes, we lost money on the deal because I didn't get a contract. I didn't produce a comp and have her initial off. I should have had, here's what a product page is going to look like. Right, sign there. This is what the entrance to your store is going to look like. Right, initial there. I should have had a comp. I should have had initials, at least on my thumbnails, but ideally on comps. I should have had a contract exactly what we were promising to do, when we were going to do it, and how we would get the rest of the pay. And you say, yeah, but these are my friends. They get it. You're going to lose friendships if you don't do this. You're doing it to protect yourself. You're doing it to protect your friend. And you're doing it to protect your friendships and relationships. Yes, I even make my little brother, who I always charge double, actually triple, because I know him. I do actually make him sign a fairly informal contract that's written in a letter form. Hey, Lance, glad, thanks for asking me to design these logos for you. Here's what it's going to cost. Here's what all I'm going to provide. Here's when I'll have it to you. I'll get started when I get your check for X amount of dollars. And because he's my brother and a pain in the ass, excuse my language, I'm going to charge him triple because I also know that 3 years from now he's going to ask me to make some tweaks to those designs, and it's really not that big of a deal, and blah 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 blah. I'm going to end up doing it for almost free because he's my brother and he's going to try to guilt me into it. So I go ahead and charge him up front. He just doesn't know it. But that's all in the contract. Not that he's a pain in the butt or that I'm triple charging him, but I do because I know him. But yes, even my brothers will sign a contract before I really sit down and start doing work with them. Certainly if I'm shooting doing a professional photo shoot, a wedding, an event, something like that, contracts have been signed, down payments have been made. I love your idea, but I can't work for free. You can't work for free, so give me some money so I can get to work. Okay? Make most of that stuff disappear. Okay, after we do that, then we can start developing our product. We're going to hire subcontractors, models, anybody we need. We're going to purchase fonts. We're going to purchase stock photography. And we're going to sit down and we're going to create what we promised to create. And we're going to do our best to make sure that we've done everything that we said we were going to do in the time frame we agreed to do it in. From there, we want to debug. Now in software, we often will have things like, we'll not only test it, we will send it out to a specialized group of people and have them do what's called an alpha test, where we send a pre-release version of software out to people who really know what they're doing, ask them to take it for a dry run, tell us what's good, what's bad, what needs to be changed. We'll send it back to get those changes made, then we'll do it again, and again, then we'll do a much larger offering called a beta test, where we send it out to a large group of people with varying degrees of experience using numerous different operating system software combinations, blah, blah, blah. We'll take the feedback from that, work through the bugs, and once we're convinced we have a really good product, then we'll move forward from here, unless you're Microsoft, at which case we're still in the beta test of the original Windows program. They're still trying to get the bugs out of it. They're still releasing it to the public because they have done away with their testing with the philosophy that, oh, the users will tell us what's wrong, so we'll just go ahead and send out software we haven't fully tested, hope it works, and wait for users to tell us what's wrong with it. Do you ever wonder why you have so many problems with Windows? Anyway, and I can tell you some in-depth stories about that. But as designers, what are we going to do? Well, I've got a group of people that if I'm doing a website, I will ask them to critique my website, double check my spelling, double check my graphics, check every single link, make sure they work, check my metadata, make sure that the keywords are there and the descriptions there, make sure the navigation makes sense, that they don't run into dead ends, that kind of stuff. If I'm doing design work, print work, a poster or something, I have a group of former students, former co-instructors, and design professionals that will be brutally honest with me. They will question every, Greg, why did you choose that font? Greg, why did you choose these colors? Did you think about maybe different imagery? Do you think your alignment's right? Do you think you got enough spacing? Did you think about kerning those letters a little bit more? Did you think about right alignment versus left alignment? And this goes on and on. I have a few students who've gone on to grad school and used me as in this capacity too. Before they turn in anything, they send it to me for a critique. And we are brutally honest with each other because a good critique is not about making somebody feel good. It's about helping them grow and helping them see things that they may have overlooked themselves. It'd be nice to be encouraging, but and we will be encouraging in our critiques. Don't panic. We're not here to beat you up, but we are here to ask you questions and give you some feedback that might help you. So we want to thoroughly debug. Again, what's my time frame? What's my budget? How much time do I have for this? I send out on a professional basis when it's I make sure that I always have time to get at least a second and third set of eyes on anything that I do. People that I trust, people that I have a relationship with, people who know what they're looking at and talking about before we ever move forward on it. Which then brings us to, we then deliver the product. And the package and delivery, do we need product manuals? Do we need help systems? These things need to be discussed. Would have been talked about back here in the contract at this point. Okay, we've got the product working, the design working the way we want. We've tested everything. Is there anything else that we need to do to be supportive of this launch? And if not, we're going to do whatever we agreed upon here. I'm going to take it live online. It will be under a password for 72 hours. That gives you time to go double check everything. Any changes made after those 72 hours will cost you $100 an hour, built in 30-degree increments. Any changes you need made within those 72 hours, you can make minor adjustments, which would include this, and this. Major adjustments, obviously, would be billed back at $100 an hour and considered additional design work. When you at the end of that 72 hours, we will go ahead and make it available to the public, provided your check is cleared. because guess what? I want to, oh really, did I lose that one? Where'd I put it? Get paid again. Time for them to give me the rest of the money. Yes, I contracted to deliver 10,000 brochures to you. You asked me to choose the printer. I did. I did have I went ahead and added a surcharge on the cost of printing because I'm going to go pick the printer and pick it up and physically deliver the brochures. They're in my back seat. As soon as your check clears, I will take them out of my back seat and put them in your hands. Yes, the website is live. If the check doesn't clear, I will go ahead and password protect the site so that nobody else can get into it until such time that your check is cleared. There's only so much we can do to protect ourselves, and we don't really want to blackmail our clients. But if we deliver according to the terms of the contract, there is nothing wrong with expecting to also have them meet those same terms. Occasionally, there's a legitimate reason why the terms, gee, can I give you $1,000 today and come back next week for the last $1,000? It was a $20,000 deal. Yeah, I can live with that. Sure, why not? Maybe I'll take that kind of chance on somebody I already know on the right deal. But I expect to get paid. I'm not, I may not deliver the prints. You see that I have them, but you don't have a check, so we're going to hold off on them being in your hand. Whatever. Get paid. Don't cause a fight. Don't cause a stink, but get paid. And that's the design process. Yay! We got money. We get to eat this month. And that's how most of us view it. And that is awesome, except the one problem in this is, as soon as I finish a job, guess what I've got to do? I've got to go find a new client, because I need to eat next month too, right? The difference between being a successful designer and being a salesperson is, once I get paid, I'm going to come back and I'm going to follow up. Hey, I see by the traffic stats that your traffic tripled on your website. That's awesome. We had a higher conversion rate. That's great. What was in-store traffic like after we ran that ad? I want to know. If I did my job right, identifying what we were trying to accomplish, who the audience was, what the message was, we went through all this. I got agreement from the client on what we were doing, why we were doing it, and they agreed that what we had come up with should address all these and solve their problems. Yeah, I understand. It's kind of scary to say, hey, how'd we do? Oh my God, I hope we did okay. I hope we did okay. What if the client says that he noticed no benefit from all this? It wasn't all on you. You didn't do it solo. You did it with their input and their agreement, using your knowledge and your skills to help guide them along the way. Okay, we didn't get the results we wanted. Now let's go redefine what it is we're trying to do and make it better. If they're really angry or we really miss the mark, I might work for a little less as we do redefine the whole thing or reapproach the whole thing. Am I going to do it for free? Most likely not. We gave it our best shot. You were in agreement. We worked together on this to come up with this plan that should have answered these needs. We didn't get the results we needed or wanted. So let's go redefine what it is we're actually trying to do. Oh, we weren't specific enough on our target audience. Oh, we were too aggressive in what we thought a single online web message might be able to do. Oh, maybe we need to reinforce this with a few product videos on YouTube. We can certainly help out with that. Oh, we forgot to change all of our print to include our new web address or to brand with our new color scheme that we're using online. We need to go and ask more questions. Software companies do it all the time. Photoshop was a raster-based image editing program so that we could take a digital photograph and make it a better product. We're in version 22, which means 21 times we've come all the way back around here, and after we have the product in our hands and our customers start using it, they said, yeah, but I wish it did this. Why doesn't it do this? I wish it didn't do this. Okay, we'll do a couple minor updates, mini cycles along the way, and then we'll release a brand new version of it and charge you for it. Yeah. Other people do it all the time. Once we've started to get some feedback, then we can go back and redefine what it is we're really trying to do, what it is we're really trying to say. We have a little more research. We tried this. These were the results we got. How does that help us better define what our next step is? I look for every reason possible to go in and visit clients just to see how business is, to stay in their face a little bit, to become friends with them. I want to be their partner in success. I don't want to just sell them a design or a web page or a video, and I've invested too much in them at that point. I want them to be a success, and I want them to come to me with all their design needs. In fact, way back here, I'm already talking about what the next, okay, after we do the web launch, what are we going to do about social media? What kind of advertising are we going to be doing on that? Further down the line, at what point do we start reinforcing it with videos? When do we tie it into your print campaigns? How can we tie it into your print campaigns? These are questions I asked right here. I've already made the assumption and have dropped hints along the way that when this job's over, we're not done. We got more to do, and more to do, and more to do, and more to do, and we'll get to it when it's time to do that. But I've already started planting the idea that I'm going to be the one who does that for them as much as I can. Nothing worse than selling a website only to find out that they went to your friend to get a brochure done, and they liked that brochure so much that they found out your friend did video, so they got your friend to do the video. Well, we've already got the print and the video going to this guy. You know, do we really need to keep you around to manage the website, or can this guy who has a track record of web management, maybe they can do it all for us? And you've lost your business because that you let somebody else in the door because they didn't know you could do that. So yeah, I'm letting them know I can do other things, and that I'd like to do other things, and that to get the results, long-term results that we want, the long-term success they'd like, that we will be doing other things. But you have to take that really scary step after you get paid, deliver and get paid, of following up with analytics, with following up with research, with following up with questions, of not just sitting back and waiting for them to call, but finding a reason to stop by, to be part of their life, to be part of their world, to be part of their success. And if you do that, you can make a darn good living with about 12 to 15 clients. And not that I'm not always upgrading clients or willing to upgrade clients, but you're much better off with 12 to 15 loyal, good clients who are bringing you a multitude of different types of projects versus having to come up with 150 one-shot deals and developing relationships with all of them only to constantly be trying to replace them with new clients. Human interaction, caring, that's going to be the difference. And occasionally facing the music when something just falls flat on its face. That's going to all be part of developing a career as opposed to just a job. Okay, so that's the design cycle. And not ask any questions, but this is a taped version, so you don't get to ask questions. One thing I would like to mention that I didn't mention, there are two schools of thought over year. I know designers who will try to build value by saying, oh, I'm going to give you 3 choices to choose from on this design. My experience has been, if I give a client 3 different looks to choose from, they're going to like this out of this design, and this out of this design, and this out of this design, and they're going to ask me to go put those 3 things that were never supposed to go together, and they aren't going to come together, and they're not going to work, and your client's going to send you to the drawing board a couple times, and always feel like, yeah, well, I wish we'd have kind of done a little of this, and wish we could have done a little of that. My approach is I present one comp, or one design package if it's more than a single project. And I make sure that I really explain who is the audience, what is the action, what message, what is the action we're trying to get, what problems are we solving. I'm making sure I explain why this is the best possible option for addressing those, and getting agreement as I do that, so that I don't have to show them comp 2 or comp 3. If they absolutely are insistent, well, I don't like this, you know, I had a bad childhood experience with that shade of red, and I will never use that shade of red. Okay, I get it. This is not something that's based upon research and knowledge and science and psychology and all that good stuff. This is something personal. I wish I'd have done it before I got started, but now I know it moving forward. But I do have something that I feel is almost as good. I wasn't sure whether to show you this or not, because I was afraid it might cause a little confusion, because I think it also addresses these things, but it doesn't use that shade of red. And then I sell it hard. I find it better to be very confident on every design decision and discuss those design decisions so there's no room for doubt in the client's mind, instead of giving them, oh, here's 3 different options. Choose which one you think's going to do the best. I understand, instead of just one, I'm going to give you 3. Look how much more value I'm still having 2 or 3 with me. I'm just a little less anxious to talk about number 2 and number 3, because I want to be so confident in number 1 that the client's going to be just as confident and excited about that design decision as I am. Okay? Great. Well, let's see if I can remember. There's the magic button. If you have questions, let me know.